Okay, so we're in the second month of the year, so we've got our second zodiac. So this is Aquarius, and her personality traits are based off, Aquarius and the research that I used last time. So kind of the basics of what the character's supposed to be like based on, I don't know, some research. I'm not a zodiac researcher, but I'll link that down below. But there's a much more interesting history behind the character design. So there are the traits coming up, kind of the basics of like masculine, feminine, etc., what planet it's based on, and then kind of researching into the planet, I kind of added some traits. So originally this was just kind of a sketch, and then I was just like, oh, this kind of fits the character. So for me, I mean, one of the character traits that I kind of got quite I don't know why I got that trait, but she seemed very British to me. I don't know why. The character of Aquarius that I was creating seemed British, where I guess the last character seemed kind of more American, like Midwestern maybe? I don't know, I've never been to America, let alone the Midwest. But she is very British to me. Got a cup of tea, gotta have a cup of tea, and kind of very easy breezy, but kind of when she makes a decision she sticks to it kind of thing. And I don't know, I guess that's just quite British to me. But you'll see over the repaint she kind of developed as a character, whether or not I wanted her to. She is quite soft as a character to begin with, but I think she ends up being quite a hard character, kind of very masculine. So I mean, it's appropriate, if only. And yeah, I'm kind of just fiddling around with designing some eyes, designing some outfits. But yeah, I'm actually kind of almost completely recreated the outfit here with, some differences. Obviously I added some lace and stuff, and I couldn't find my blue scrap leather, so got grey, but I think it turned out well. So to begin with, I'm trying to make alcohol ink out of pigment and alcohol. Let me tell you, it doesn't work. So I had heard that I looked up like how to dye Kanekalon lip wigs. So I was just like, oh cool, I've got some rubbing alcohol and this really strong pigment. Maybe I can make alcohol ink and then dye her hair with that. So it's kind of, I added too much green there, but yeah. It didn't work anyway, so what's it matter? And it did not work. That's just not how you make alcohol ink, obviously. And then I also tried just kind of rubbing a like ink pad on it, because I was just like, ink. I was just like annoyed. The main reason I even tried to do this is because I wanted this Frankie Stein doll, because she had kind of a pursed lip for like blowing bubbles or whatever, and I thought that was kind of appropriate for like the tea drinking kind of pursed look. And her hair's white, so I was just like, why am I gonna waste my time rerouting an entire doll's head and harming my poor little finger by stabbing it repeatedly with a needle? Because I have hair, I was gonna do it, but I've skipped it this time. Plus I really like the style of the reroute they already have. It's cute, like very British. Walking to the crafty room, do. The room of bad lighting. It's not that bad. Okay, so let's get her out. Yep. Wait. There's she gone. We're gonna colour get. So we got everything out. Those are kind of lighter colours. That's the pigment. That is from a Frankie doll. My head. Some blonde, some blue. I don't think the blue will dye, but I'll try doing the end a darker blue. 2 bags. One I've scrunch tied, and some white fabric, stretchy fabric that I've scrunch tied. So first of all, the most important one, this one. I'm going to try to fan it out, and then we're basically just going to blob it down. So I'll be back and show you how this goes. The real thing is, will this work? Because the prior two have not, so. Okay, 10 minutes later, and look at this mess. So, there you go. It should be an ombre. We will see how it turns out, but if it continues looking like this, it'll probably be a bit lighter. It's gonna be real cute. This, no idea what this is gonna look like, but it's gonna be fun if it works. Got this white fabric. It's kind of blues and purples. I put it in the drip off from this mess. It's looking like surprisingly galaxy-y. So it's got yellow underneath it and then blue and purple. That's made this nice deep turquoise. It was over there. I just soaked up the end of it with this huge off stream. This is a mess. This is going to look ugly, but it's going to be fun. And this hair, so I actually kind of diluted it and put it in there in the bucket. So we'll see how that turns out. It might be a very ugly wig. We'll see how well the hair survives. But excited. Let's see how it goes. See if it will stain. Woohoo! So, starting off, you gotta get rid of her original face. Got some acetone. Got a big pad so you can just remove her eye right out, as you can see. Oh look, an eye. It's a lot of fun, but let's get into the actual, like, repaint. So, originally, now this is one that's developed a lot. Her eyes were the bane of my existence for about 2 or 3 days. It's one of the fastest repaints I've done. I spent so much time on the hair, and I probably worked about straight 12 hours on the outfit. But, I mean, I had a lot of fun with the chalk pastels here. So at the moment I'm just putting down eyebrows, a very clear character trait. She had very soft kind of eyes, but quite strong shaped eyebrows. I also gave her some blushy cheeks, which was a mistake. They were also the bane of my existence, because they were way too bright. Because she is a green toned skin colour, it was way too vibrant. Now I'm imagining if a creature had green skin, because she's kind of an icy kind of character, like, you know, the planet and Aquarius, like she's kind of blue and green tones, so I imagine a green toned creature might have blue blood. Like, don't they say that we have blue blood but then it oxidizes and that's why it's red? I don't know, I'm not a hematologist. But I tried to kind of show that, but it was just way too much. So I kind of got my cheaper pastels that actually I think supposed to be hair pastels, and they have this really nice pale minty green, and I'm kind of trying to use that to blend and tone down the cheeks, but also kind of making sure that it kind of goes up to the eye, because you don't want a gap. And I find sometimes when you're using Mr. Super Clear, it just kind of doesn't get into all of the crevices. But as you go, you have more layers, so there's always going to be some there in the end. I tried to make sure I used angles and stuff, but it was real blustery and very cold. There's been snow in the last 2 weeks that I've been doing her, which is appropriate for her character at least. And, you know, cold, wet, very British. I keep on saying that, but I guess it's just her main character trait in my head at this point. So, I think this is just the 3rd layer in, and this is where it all went wrong. So, if you've been watching all of my doll repaints, you know I really like Delightful, and she uses acrylics quite a lot. And apparently she actually went, I don't know if she went to art school, but she got some instruction by an art teacher or art person, like techniques and stuff to do with acrylics. I can't, no, I got no instruction, and I'm not very good with acrylics, or paint, really. So I'm just jumping into the deep end and drowning. So one of my pet peeves, it's not really a pet peeve I guess, because it doesn't really affect me, but one of the things I think shows that you're an amateur doll artist the most is lumpy eyes. And gosh dang, I know why people have lumpy eyes. It's because gosh dang acrylics are really hard to use. Now, I assume that I should have just watered it down. I should have just like put it so it's so watery that it kind of creates one layer where you want it to be, and then you just have to use multiple layers of acrylic. Like that's probably multiple really thin layers of acrylic, and then you won't get lumpy eyes. But you know, I didn't know what I was doing, so I just leapt in, and I think it wasn't that bad, but it kind of I didn't really, because I was just going in with the white, I didn't get the opportunity to like think and kind of see in my head what this white would do to the eye shape, and the eye shape wasn't that defined or like actually accurate to what I wanted to begin with. So I spent about 20 minutes trying to do the acrylics, and then 30 minutes trying to fix it. But yeah, I mean, you can see I'm just doing just doing paint on the eye, but I'm just trying to make sure there isn't any bumps kind of where the brush has gone. And gosh dang, I didn't achieve that. There's lumps and bumps and humps and everything. But you know, I'm a hard worker, I'm a perseverer, and you know, I knew it wasn't going well, but gosh dang, I'm gonna try to use the acrylics for the rest of this nonsense. So I mixed together some blue. I actually made a really beautiful blue, in my opinion, for her pupil and kind of eyeliner, eye shape, top of the eye area, and I really needed to both water it down and just like, I don't know. The thing is, I really actually love this brush. So it came from a nail set that I got for birthday, Christmas from my sister, and when I continued using it in the next few layers with watercolour, it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So I just don't know why I was struggling so much. It's actually the perfect tool. But yes, this is the kind of robin egg, Araucana chicken egg blue that I made. I really would love to just have a canvas of this blue, I don't know, maybe a white polar bear head on it. It's pretty cute. Maybe a bit of periwinkle kind of vibes, but I kind of wanted for contrast you need the the kind of shaping, kind of structured eyeliner kind of layer to be darker or lighter, just contrast, you know. And it was very pastel otherwise, and it was kind of ghostly in a negative way. And kind of, you'll see that I actually kind of entirely redid the right eye. I got rid of all of this eyeliner I tried to paint on because, as you know, if you watch a lot of these, I have a problem with non-symmetrical eyes. And let me tell you, I was so proud of my original kind of layer, just pencil layer, because it was probably the most symmetrical I've ever done eyes. So this is the next layer. So, I mean, I knew that I wasn't going in the right direction, so I kind of redrew up the character, and this is kind of where the Britishness really came in for me, and I'm kind of just giving up on the acrylics. I'm not going to get anywhere with that. It looks much worse in person than you think, so this is under really bright light, so it kind of mutes out how bright the cheeks are, and kind of you can't see as much the three-dimensionalness of the eye whites. And I'm trying to use this wet pencil to kind of blend down and flatten the bumpiness in the eye, and let me tell you, it actually kind of worked a bit, but not enough because it was still there. But that's mostly because of my ineptitude. But now, with a new plan, we can kind of get into the real shenanigans of the eyes. So this is kind of my saviour. So this is actually a really cheap set that I got, but this is a really pretty blue. It's kind of got hints of turquoise in it, in a bit of green, which, have you noticed my nails? Yeah, I painted them myself. Not that bad. Anyway, not what you're interested in. So I tried first to see what the colour would look like by just doing it classic pencil style, but I kind of saw that I was going to need to make it darker. So first I just tried wet pencil, and then I kind of developed, I mean, I've done it before, but I kind of had more reliance on having a wet brush and then kind of brushing at the little pencil nib to remove pigment and kind of transfer it, because this brush is great, I think, for eyeliner. It's so small, so pointy, it does what it's supposed to do. I think it's a great pencil. But yeah, this is when I kind of saw that I was going to have to do something with that right eye. It might not look that bad on camera, tell me if it just looks terrible too, but I felt that the pupil was kind of just not doing it. By the way, said that wrong. The iris is just not doing it. I was aggravated by the eyeliner shape. Like, it was just kind of making the eye a much more kind of down, like pointy, downwards looking eye when compared to the other one, which is reasonably open. So I just wiped off the top of it, I think in between this and the next one, but I tried, and I'm kind of just really getting into the new shape, and also trying to make the eyebrows less cartoony. I don't know why. I actually think the eyebrows turned out really well, but basically what I was doing is I had an underlayer of pigment from the pastel, and then I just used like a kind of different shade of blue to do the hairs on top, and I think it turned out really cute, kind of feathery, kind of free, which is appropriate for the character, which I'm glad for, because it was not going well up until then. She very much had a clincher moment, like she was either gonna rise or fall, but I think she turned out well enough in the end with the detail. Oh, look, I actually recorded myself getting rid of the top of the eye. I didn't think I did that. So I'm just using water and muscle to get rid of the wrongs that I have perpetrated. And from here to here, I've got an entirely different doll. So I used the blue watercolour that I made in an earlier pigment video to do her iris. So, and her pupil actually. I actually did her pupil this time. So I kind of did a lighter layer of the blue and then a deeper layer. And yes, I just did the eyelashes, which I'm very proud of. They're pointy. And now I'm kind of in the last two layers. I'm using white, very watered down acrylic for highlights on the eyes, underneath the eyebrow. I think I did a little bit on the nose, and kind of a shine on the lips, and just a little bit of blue. Just the last layer on the eyebrows to just add a bit more definition and hairiness. I don't know if it's supposed to be realistic, but kind of realistic but very orchestrated. And this is the real final layer, and what really I think kind of brought her together. So I used kind of a turquoise, because the eyes are quite turquoisey now, quite a lot of green in that one, to create eye shines, and then just straight out white, but like sparkly white, to make the, you know, little white eye dots, kind of defining the eyelid, under the eyebrow, lip, nose, and kind of the little teary blob, just to make it, I guess with the teary blob and the lips, it's kind of to make it look wet, and I was kind of bored. I kind of felt that the forehead was quite empty, so I made a fun little pattern I thought was kind of appropriate, kind of just dots, so middle dot, kind of a little triangle, dots around it. But we're done, we get to get into outfits. So I actually made my own pattern, trying to be an exact pattern for once rather than just a loose thing. On them. So I have this doll that I just used. She's got cuts all over her because I cut pieces of tape off her, essentially. So to make the pattern, I use tape method to create you kind of make clothes out of tape. So it's that kind of tape that has masking tape that has kind of paper on the side. So I do it inside out, so the sticky is shaping outwards, and then I do a layer the other way around, so the sticky goes on sticky, and you get a drawable surface on one side and a surface that doesn't stick to your doll on the other one. And then I just use these little cards to make the tiny pattern. It's perfectly doll sized. It's also just a business card size, and it's kind of and ends up with being a pattern that's too large. But for the fact that my dress was so large and voluminous, that it turned out pretty well. Speaking of, so this is my skirt piece. So I dyed that actually using my failed initial dyeing method, and I picked up this material, the white one, from a fabric store that sells actual proper fabrics for like making clothes and prom dresses and stuff. It was in the scrap bag. So I'm kind of showing you how the shirt goes together. I showed you the pattern, showing you how it goes together. It's not very clear because it's white on white, but you kind of put the 4 pieces together, and then I've put on one arm, showing you how to put the next arm on, and just picking out some accoutrements. I have this big bag of lace and little accoutrements that I got off eBay. I think I paid about £10 for it. It's got loads of stuff, and I'm just trying to pick them out. So like, no, I'm not going to put that huge flower on. This is amazing. I'm going to use it for something, but not today. That is not the colour scheme. Too big. Almost there. We're going to put the blue on the blue at the bottom, but between these two, the scallops, just a bit classier. So, you know, I finally finished this. I sewed through leather, which was, I'm using a normal needle. Please get a leather needle. Please me get a leather needle. And I'm using my classic product design knife to create some holes. I'd probably recommend, I mean, obviously you should always go for holes too small and then kind of widen them when necessary, but gosh dang, it's necessary to have a wider hole than what I did. You'll see I actually showed how I dressed up the doll because it was a struggle, because I had to put the ribbon through each of the holes. So when that's done, we get the reveal. So I wasn't sure how this was gonna go with the hairstyle. I kind of wanted like those waves, and surprisingly, I achieved it. And then I'm doing the classic, well, the planned little tie at one side, kind of clip behind the ear sort of thing, from school. And using my classic technique, whether or not I don't think I've actually videoed it. I've used it in about 3 other repaints, where I'm sewing hair, which I thought was a kind of revolutionary, but then I realised that's exactly what a wig does. That's just what a wig is. So I'd recommend using it. Like so on my mermaid repaint, I use that to keep her hair at the back of her head. I mean, it works well here. Just like try it out. And one of the things I was saddest about, kind of, that it didn't turn out as wanted, is I lost the little cloud that I made. So I just found a really cool bead. Not perfect, but a really cool one from my cool beads tiny box, and I glued that onto the little thready bit, and then I sewed through it. But yeah, it's all done. We get to dress her up. get to make our little princess, and also this is kind of a little princess dress, isn't it? I'm really proud of how it turned out. I'd recommend that you kind of use a more structured top than I did, because it ended up with a lot of ruching at the tummy area, so it didn't kind of cinch in because I used so much fabric, but it really means that she's got a voluminous skirt. I got a little popper at the back around her collar, and then we get to see me struggle with lacing the corset. So there it is. I chose a nice light blue ribbon to kind of match, I mean, the theme, but also the thread that I used on the sides. And what I did is I used some, not like pliers, pincers, what are they called? Tweezers, kind of weird tweezers, and I put my dotting tool, my tiniest dotting tool, to kind of widen the little ends, because it was completely cinch closed, and it worked. I mean, it actually only took about 5 minutes to do this corset up, but it felt like 5.5 years, let me tell you. I'd recommend doing it, but I'd recommend that you just make the holes bigger. You're not really going to see it, but I mean, I guess you don't want gapping. Just be careful, I guess. But now we get to see her in all her glory on the dramatic dyeing cloth that I made. So let's go through it. I think she's quite a masculine character. I think she makes a decision that's fixed to it. Airy, fixed. Uranus, she kind of icy. I think she's an icy character. Layered cloud structure, don't know about that. Quite ice and rock interior. I think she's got an interior of hard rock, a strong-willed person. Tell me if you are an Aquarius, and you are too. Other than that, thank you, come again, guys.
Yeah, it's drinking. Oh, it's so tiny. I found the tiniest one. And then it's got a slightly bigger tiny one next to it. Oh, good. Oh, that one's so tiny and it's drinking.